From Oshkosh Community Media Services, this is Community Access TV2 and simulcast on 101.9 FM WOCT Oshkosh.
Welcome to Helping Hands with your hosts, John Neiman and Judy Ritchie.
Hello and welcome to Helping Hands. This is our opportunity to let you in the community know how you can lend a helping hand to a program, an agency, or a project in the community. I'm Judy Ritchie with Oshkosh Family Meals on Wheels.
And I'm John Neiman with Aurora Medical Center, and welcome to another edition of Helping Hands. We'd like to start off by thanking our sponsors, those who help us put on this show every month, and that would be Aurora Healthcare, which is our major sponsor for this show that lets us come to you with all of the volunteer opportunities that we have in our community, and also Harnick's Flowerland, which is our decor sponsor. And yes, you can still get to Harnick's even though there's all this road construction going on in Oshkosh. So please feel free to go there on 9th Street, and they have wonderful garden plants there. Just a great place to be. Really gets you in the summer spirit for gardening and everything. Where can you see us? Where can you hear us? We are on CATV2. We're on 5 of the 7 days of the week. You just have to go to the OCM, Oshkosh Community Media website, and you can see the schedule there. We're also on Charter 97, and we're also on the radio at WOCT 101.9 FM. So thank you very much for being with us. Our guest today, I feel right at home with because he's a doctor. And with the hospital, it works out kind of well.
I think he's a different doctor, though.
Oh, we have those two. We have those two at Aurora also. But we have Dr. Paul Van Auken from the University of Oshkosh. So thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me, John and Judy.
And the project, the American Democracy Project, Creating a Stronger Community. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you're doing a contest with that. Sounds
That's right.
Very intriguing.
Yeah, well, it should be a lot of fun. And the idea is to try to come up with ways to get people to think creatively about how they can make a positive impact in the community. So we thought a contest would drum up some excitement and hopefully get a wide variety of people involved, from UWO students, faculty, staff, potentially, maybe classes doing projects together or groups on campus, but also anyone from the Oshkosh area. So maybe that's individuals that have good ideas, neighborhood, informal groups, nonprofit organizations. So we're hoping it'll generate excitement, get a lot of people together, and then result in one or more organizations going home at the end of the event that we'll have with money to try to implement that project.
Which is a good thing to do.
It is a good thing.
Where did the idea come from, or which group at the university came up with the idea to do this? Or?
Well, it was a brainstorm that I had based on an idea I heard about that somebody had done in New York City. I can't remember if I heard it on NPR or read it in the New York Times or something, but it really struck me as something fun and practical. There they decided to try to bring life back to a neighborhood institution, a church that had lost almost all its members. They were doing all these interesting things, starting to have plays there, bands would play there. And then they decided to have this contest, so they invited people from the artistic community to submit projects that could be funded. And the way it worked was that people would come to this event, pay something like $20, and they'd get food and live music. But then with that $20, they got the opportunity to vote. So the people voted on the best project based on a pitch that they heard that night, and the project winner went home with all that money. So we adapted that a little bit. I'm on the American Democracy Project at UW Oshkosh, and we've been kicking this idea around for a while, and finally decided to go for it. Starting the contest now, promoting it, with the proposals being submitted by the end of September, and then we're going to have this an event that coincides with the Earth Charter Summit, Earth Charter Community Summit, which is mainly on campus, some off-campus events. So that's another sponsor. I don't want to forget to mention that the Earth Charter Summit Planning Committee and the UW Oshkosh Foundation have already committed funds for this. So there is some funding there already that is creating the prize booty, I guess you'd say. But then we're going to do the same kind of idea, which is not to just make this a contest you submit and then you find out who the winner is, but to create a fun community event that'll bring people out, hopefully, which will be the first Thursday of October. I think that's October 6th.
Okay.
And we're going to do that down at the City Center in conjunction with Beckett's Restaurant and the atrium there. And so people who come that night then, if they'll contribute a minimum amount. So I think the students will be $5, non-students $10. And that'll give you the chance to vote on, we'll have finalists there that'll present. So the sponsorship groups will form a screening committee to look at all the proposals and pick the finalists. Finalists then will be able to present their ideas at that event. People that come and kick in a little bit of money will get the chance to vote, and then the winner or winners, depending on how much additional funding we can raise, will go home with the funding.
And projects, are you looking at mostly the arts or almost anything in the community?
Yeah, the idea came from an arts program in New York, but this is meant to be a project that will lead to an increase in community vibrancy and quality of life. So real open to all kinds of creative ideas. We have there's an application that people can find via a link that's on the UW Oshkosh website, and that's maybe something that will come on the screen a little bit.
It is.
Okay.
All you have to do is
There
say
it
it
is.
here at OCM and they do it. So there it is right on the
It's
screen.
like
for you.
magic.
Yeah.
So if you go to that website, you'll find a fuller, more detailed description of the project and a link that'll take you to basically a Word document that has all the information that we'll need for proposals to be considered.
And for the benefit of our radio audience, that's uwosh.edu/ADP. And that will get you to that point.
So then are you talking then about, let's say, groups from high schools or anyone else, if they come up with something that's going to benefit the community in such a way, they can submit it to you through that process?
Yep.
And then your committee will judge the top 3 or pick the top
Yeah, and that's
3?
this is, as I was explaining before we started the show, this is a first time we're trying it. It's meant to be very grassrootsy. So it may be that we end up with more than 3 finalists if we have a great problem and have a lot of applications, then maybe we'll have a few more finalists. And the same thing with the prize. We may decide to give it to more than one project. So we also don't want to restrict it to any kind of already existing group. It could be an individual that has a great idea.
Okay.
It could be a couple 6th graders that have this great idea, or a school group or whatever. But we want it to be open to all kinds of people and types of projects. I was going to say though that you'll find, if you look at that proposal or the guidelines for proposals, there are specific categories that we've given that are pretty. I mean, there are enough categories and they're broad enough that virtually anything that's going to have a positive impact on the community, you could find a place for it. So it's things like sustainability. It has something to do with sustainability, or justice, or volunteerism, or community building, just about getting people together. Civic awareness and engagement.
Okay.
Those are the types of categories.
So I'm thinking like, now in the city center square they show movies. So that could have been a project idea back then. It brings people together in our community. So that something like that, or like when we do the Christmas tree lighting, we used to do, bringing people together. So we're looking for something that's going to benefit our community, that may be an idea that somebody had, but they had no funding for it.
Exactly.
And now they have a chance to actually get funding to do it.
And it would be an ideal sort of piggybacking with Make a Difference Day in the end of October, the type of projects where we've got some great groups out there that do things, don't always have the financial resources to carry it as far as they would like.
Right.
So it'd be a very good way of building on what may be there as sort of the seed, and this would be the growth factor in it.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to emphasize too about projects is that we're looking for projects that are tangible and practical, yes, but we have a matrix that has these 5 criterion, 5 criteria. So one of them is creativity. So we're going to be looking for projects that are thinking about things in a new way. They're innovative in some way.
Okay.
And then, but the other ones are things like, is this something that can be carried out within a year? Is it practical? Does it present a compelling need, and you're presenting a compelling story about how to address that, etc. So all those details can be found on the proposal website there.
Now there are numbers on the screen right now for our TV audience and our radio audience. Is that your direct number, or is that 424-1269 or 424 or 0435?
That's not my personal number. That's people affiliated with the American Democracy
Okay.
Project that can answer questions about where to submit or anything.
So if anybody in our radio audience has questions on this project, this first time exciting project, which is going to support our community, they can call 424-1269 or 424-0435, or also then go on UWO's website also for this. So are you really excited about this? Because it was an idea that you had, and now it's like it's coming true. And you guys
Definitely.
are really organized, because you're way ahead of, some people start a project and it's the next month, but here, this is July, and you're way ahead of schedule because the applications are due in September.
Right.
So you're giving people plenty of time for this.
Yeah, well, for one thing, we do want students from UW Oshkosh to be able to enter, and so we wanted to start planting the seed. So we started planting the seed in the spring while the semester is still in progress, because there's not going to be a whole lot of time at the beginning
That's
of the
true.
semester for people to put something together. But there still will be. There'll be a couple weeks, so hopefully UW Oshkosh students and members of the community will have plenty of time to give it some thought and submit a project.
Actually, one of my interns from UWO and Human Resources is staying here this summer, and she mentioned it to me. So
Great.
she knew about it, and she's here this summer, renting a house with a bunch of other people. So they knew about it, and so they do have time now to
That's
really
excellent.
work on it and do something. Especially because UWO is really committed to giving back through their leadership programs, through their internships, through things like that. So I think it's a benefit for our community all the way around to do something like this.
I think it fits very well with the the mission of the university to be an institution that has a reach beyond just the boundaries of the campus. That's the
Exactly.
Wisconsin idea in action. So that's one of the things I really like about it. I should also mention the reason, in part, that we're organized is because we have some real go-getters on this American Democracy Project team, like Carleen Van de Zand and Mike Leaders and David Seamers.
Okay.
These people are good at organizing and making things happen. So they helped. That's why these things can never be done alone if they're going to be done right. I'm not that organized, so I had an idea, but they're helping push it forward.
Which is how it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
And Mike is our primary contact through the Alliance of Volunteer Agencies.
Right,
So-
right.
And they're actually the ones who contacted us and said, we need to get PR on this. How can we do it? And it's a perfect fit. Once again, our time is really winding down here. Is there anything that you want to pitch to our audience? One last thing. We have like 30 seconds left.
Yeah, there is another thing I want to mention, and that is that I think any group that thinks this sounds like something, they have some kind of idea, even if it's not super well formed, give it a go, because there'll be a limited number of winners that actually get the money. But if we can generate excitement and get all kinds of people from the community to come, there may be other connections that are made. That's why we're going to invite all people that submit a proposal to come and have a table so they can pitch their ideas to people that are milling around that night on October 6th. So there may be connections made there where people end up with a funding partner or a capacity building partner or something too, even if they're not the winner.
That's
Or
a really
warm
good idea.
Or warm bodies with the students who see something that really piques their interest.
Right.
That's a great
They can
idea.
turn it into part of their class.
Right? And just maybe somebody says, I really like your idea, I want to help you do it with, labor or whatever.
Oh,
So,
good.
Well, it can count towards their class grade too
Yep.
sometimes.
right.
Well, thank you, Paul. We appreciate you
Thank
being
you.
here.
It was great.
Please stay tuned for our second segment of Helping Hands. If you do have more questions on this project, you always can call myself, John Neiman, at 456-7013.
Or Judy Ritchie at 651-3316. And I actually remembered my own number.
There we go. Thank you. We'll be right back with our second segment of Helping Hands.
Now, I hope you don't think you talk about drugs once and then your kids are safe. You gotta live it. Nancy.
I brought something. You're gonna love it.
Hey, this is Nancy. I can't get to my phone right now, but leave a message and I'll get back to you just as soon as I can. And if this is my son Kevin, don't do drugs. Thank you.
Okay, Nancy, I don't really think that counts as a conversation. Moving on.
Learn how to talk to your kids about drugs at timetotalk.org.
Hi, and welcome back to Helping Hands. I'm John Neiman with Aurora Medical Center.
And Judy Ritchie with Oshkosh Family Meals on Wheels. And I guess this time we're going to talk about volunteering in general and a few specifics, whether it be with Meals on Wheels or Aurora or Humane Society or wherever, right?
Right. I just got back from another state conference where they had a discussion on volunteering, and some agencies were seeing a decline in volunteering, and I said, that's not what I'm seeing, and I don't see a lot of people seeing that. People are using volunteering now. Those who are laid off from their jobs or experiencing cutbacks are actually using volunteering to stay current in the job field, to use it as experience. I'm finding that out. I am getting volunteer applications where I don't have to do any advertising anywhere. They're coming to me. Most of them that I'm getting now are kids in high school or college who want that medical experience, which is great because we can give them the hands-on experience with volunteering.
Right, and I can relate to that. On the flip side of that, with my program, we're dealing with older adults in their homes. I'm finding a lot of the newly retired are coming to me. They're the ones who, like the one gentleman, he's been retired a month and decided he was bored. He was looking for something different to do. The honey-do list was getting caught up, and he wanted something a little bit different. And his wife had been one of our corporate volunteers in years past, and he had gone out with her on more than one occasion, decided we were a good fit for him. And so he came to us. And I've had a couple others. I've got a lady who's homeschooling her kids and decided that this was going to be a great summer activity for her kids, but something that she could continue on into the fall and the winter, incorporated in their learning plan.
Mm-hmm. Which would be a great thing to do.
It is.
I also wanted to mention two things about teen volunteering. At least in my instance, and in most healthcare or nursing home related instances, sometimes there's the misconception that, yes, I want to volunteer, and I want to volunteer this week. And they all have to realize is that there's a process to be followed. First of all, starting with the background check, then starting out with orientation. Orientation takes a while because you're orientating them to all the legalities that they have to fulfill, plus you're orienting them to your place of work, for us, the hospital and the clinic. And it's not a one-day process. It takes a while to get all of that done. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about with our audience here. We do definitely encourage volunteering and teen volunteering. For us at Aurora, it's either age 15 or a freshman in high school. Everybody has a little different age level. Mercy, I know, is age 14. But we do encourage it, but we want you to be patient because there is a process to be done with volunteering.
Right, and with me, they need to be at least 16 with a valid driver's license unless they're volunteering with a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're doing it at age 16, I need to have parental consent because they are at that point minors. But yes, we do the background checks, and doing it over summer becomes a little bit more difficult because trying to go back to the school is part of that too. And then along with that, as you said, the orientation to legalities as well as practicalities and the training part. I, with my program, don't have a lot of one-shot deal events unless somebody is going to be doing greeting cards or placemats and things like that. To just say, well, I'd like to deliver meals next week Thursday, it's not going to happen. I can't do it, and it's not that I don't appreciate the sincerity of the offer. It's a matter of my hands are tied. I can't do that.
Right, and we just can't open the doors. I always say to some people too, if you need something right away, most of the times I send them to the Pain Arts Center, and I say they have arboretum assistants outside where they can use the weeding and they can use all of that labor outside. You mentioned greeting cards and placemats. That's something I utilize really quite a bit with the teens who come to me and say, I need to have these hours done so I can go to homecoming or prom or graduate, etc., or my leadership class needs time. And I really utilize that a lot. And it's the making of the tray favors or the greeting cards would be for your people on Meals on Wheels, would be for my residents and family members in the hospital. They love to see a card on the meal tray, whether it's Father's Day, Mother's Day, 4th of July, Easter, or it's just thinking of you. And you can be kids are so creative. I just got this latest batch in where it was just so creative with hand stamping and everything. And that does take time to do. You can't really, to do them well, you can't just, rip them off and do them. But kids can do that at home, and they can do it as a family, and they can still get credit for volunteering. So that's one thing I always encourage, and I tell them, Meals on Wheels uses them, I will use them, Mercy will use them, nursing homes will use them.
Right. And sometimes I get way more than I need for the people we're serving, so I in turn will pass them on to Evergreen, or a lot of times for Share Haven, which would be the Alzheimer's unit, or cerebral palsy with the weekend respite program. It just kind of depends on what they are. So if I have an overabundance, I share the wealth.
Yeah, exactly. And I just like to see kids doing that too, because once again, I like to make volunteering a positive experience. I don't want to be one of those agencies that we do hear about that when a teen calls to volunteer, they say no. They say it's the summer, we don't have anything for you. That's one trend at the state conference I was at. That's one trend I'm seeing more with hospitals. Hospitals used to have a summer teen program. I've never had one. My teen program is all year round. I use teenagers in the same spots that I would use adults in the hospital. So I don't have special things created for teens in the summer. They're doing the same things at my place that the adults would do. And that's why I think I can keep them all year round. The idea of just having volunteers for the summer.
That's busy work.
Yeah, it is.
It's busy work, and it doesn't necessarily allow the individual to feel that they're valued. It can sometimes give the perception of, it's more work for me just because you're here, rather than you're part of that overall team that lasts the entire year. That goes on. As I said, I've got the 16-year-olds. I have to work with my program. We are definitely restricted as far as the times that we can utilize the volunteers if they're delivering meals. On the other hand, if they're doing the cards, tray favors, whatever, that's at their leisure. But we do work around that. You can tailor to a little bit different format than I can, but it's the nature of our programs.
Right.
And with the pain, weed pulling, that's a little bit contingent on the weather.
Right.
And the other type. So don't come to us and think that we're going to turn you away right away. Come to us if we don't have something for you. We're going to offer, at least the two of us, are going to be offering alternatives. Okay, I can't use you with my program for what you want to do, but if you're interested in doing, I know that John can do, or this one can do. I know that there's a huge mailing coming up with this organization. And yes, it is a lot of older ladies, but you know what? They love seeing those young folks coming in.
Oh my gosh, and they feed you, and they treat you well. And I tell the story, and I've told the story before, but my son is at UW, just finished his first year at UW Green Bay. He worked at Aurora under some ladies who trained him with office work and all of his other stuff. And he got a job in the chancellor's office at UW Green Bay. And they said to him, they can't believe how respectful and kind and thoughtful he is, and where did he learn phone etiquette as an 18-year-old? But that's because he worked with other volunteers, and he got a very nice job there because of that and because of the people that he worked for. So there's a lot of benefits to that. Another challenge I wanted to put out there, it's something new that I thought we could do here, is talk about volunteers in our community. So I'm asking our radio audience and our TV audience, if you know of someone that you think is doing a really great job, not just for Meals on Wheels or Aurora, but in our community, call Judy, call myself, email us, and let us know, and we'll be glad. They're great again. The numbers are right on there, so call me at 456-7013, or Judy
at 651-3316.
Let us know about somebody in the community. You know, lots of times the hardest working volunteers are the quietest volunteers because they go around just doing things because they want to. But we want to know. We want to feature them. I have a couple that I wanted to talk about. Jim McLean is a wonderful piano player.
Oh, he's been around forever and ever.
And he travels all over and he plays the piano. He plays for us at Aurora 1 day a week, and it's wonderful.
And I remember him when my daughter was in middle school, and that's, well, I won't tell you how old
she's going to be. A couple years ago.
Yes.
And there's another one, I really don't want to say this because I know some organization is going to try to pick her up, but I have a volunteer that started at Aurora because she thought it would be nice. Her husband just passed away and she wanted something to do. We have Kay, and then there's also Donna Walter.
Okay.
Donna volunteers for me at Aurora Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Amazing. She's a Spitfire. She likes to do it, and those are the kind of people that we want to hear about. And I know that you have volunteers too with Meals that have been there.
Well, I've got one, and I'm not sure if he'll appreciate being recognized, but Ray Hill. And Ray goes back to the Oshkosh Northwestern, the Oshkosh School Board. I was surprised when he came to me to be a volunteer, and he made a comment to another volunteer that I was from this school district, but a particular school that was on the chopping block years ago for closing. And so I was a wicked woman or an evil woman. And he did it, and he laughed so much. Ray presents the gruff exterior. Ray would deliver meals for me every day when he's in town if I'd let him. And I've got people like Randy Van Ness, retired police officer.
Yep.
He knows the city. He's got excellent skills for observation. He brings things to my attention. I mean, it's there. You keep thinking of women with being the meal
but you have a lot of.
But I've got a lot of wonderful men in there.
And this is what we want to do now. Ian is telling us our time is up, Judy. But this is something I want to talk about in our segments, on our next shows, is to do something like this and talk about the wonderful volunteers, because you're involved a lot in our community and so am I. So we'll be doing this more on our segment, but email us or call us and let us know if you like it. I'm John Neiman with Aurora Medical Center.
And Judy Ritchie with Oshkosh Family Meals on Wheels. Thank you for being with us.
Have a great